Hello and welcome to the MGReviews 2021 year in review. In this video, I'm going to take a look back at all the vehicles that I test drove over the past year and pick a winner from different categories. So best car, best SUV, best truck, and then at the end, I'll pick an overall best vehicle of 2021. But I'm also going to do a few subcategories, so best mainstream SUV and best luxury SUV and more like that. Now, just keep in mind that these are all vehicles that I have personally test driven. I'm just one guy doing this YouTube channel, so I don't have time to review every single brand new car that came out in 2021. And sometimes I don't even have access to all the vehicles that came out in 2021. So apologies ahead of time if you're expecting to see a certain vehicle, but just keep that in mind. I'm just one guy doing this. Anyway, let's get into it. Could this Ford Ranger Tremor be the best new vehicle of 2021? Or could it be the all-new Genesis GV70? Or could it be the Veloster N with the new DCT automatic transmission? It's not the Veloster N with the new DCT automatic transmission. But speaking of the Veloster N, let's get into our first category, the best cars that I've driven in 2021. Cars these days are not as popular as they used to be, but for some manufacturers, they still provide a large chunk of their bottom line. However, the Chevrolet Spark is not one of them for General Motors, but it is a good car that's worth mentioning. This is the least expensive new car that you could have bought in 2021. It's also economical, cheap to insure and maintain, and if you get it with a manual transmission, pretty fun to zip around a bustling city. However, the main contenders for the best mainstream car of 2021 are the Kia K5, Mazda 3, and the Honda Civic. The Kia K5 is a bit more expensive than its competitors, but it offers a lot of value for your money, and it's one of the few mid-size sedans that is offered with an all-wheel drive system. However, the finalists are the Mazda and the Honda. So between those two, which one comes on top? It's the 2022 Honda Civic by the slimmest of margins. The Mazda 3 is still a fantastic car, but the new Civic is all around a bit better. It's spacious, it's comfortable, it's got plenty of power, good to drive, and it has lots of available convenience and safety features. Moving on to luxury cars, this year I drove the new Acura TLX, BMW M440i, Genesis G80, BMW 330e, Alfa Romeo Giulia, Genesis G70, Kia Stinger, and Mercedes-Benz E63 AMG. Quite a few, but my favorites were the Alfa Romeo Giulia, Mercedes E63 AMG, and Genesis G70. Of those three, the best luxury car of my opinion was the Mercedes-Benz E63 AMG. That is really no surprise, especially in this wagon form. It has the spaciousness and comfort of an SUV, but the raw power of a supercar. And finally, we get to the best sports cars of 2021 that I've had the opportunity to drive. These included the Ford Mustang GT, Mazda MX-5, Mini Cooper JCW convertible, Hyundai Veloster N, and Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat. Not sure in what other category to put that last one, so it's here. But of those sports cars, my pick for the best is the Mazda MX-5. Sure, it's the slowest of the bunch and the least practical, and I struggle to fit in it comfortably, but if you ever wanted to know how a sports car should feel like, take one of these out for a spin. No other car provides a better driving experience than the Mazda MX-5. These things are everywhere you look. It feels like I review one every week of the year, which is why I have the running joke at the end of each of my videos. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck or probably another bonkers SUV. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck or most likely it'll be another SUV. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck or probably be another SUV. But in a sea of crossovers and SUVs, there are a few pearls. Starting with the ones that almost everyone can afford, the best extra small crossover that I could recommend is the Mazda CX-30. It has a few powertrain options to choose from, a great interior, and of course, drives pretty well for what it is. Moving up in size, the best compact SUV of 2021 is the all-new Hyundai Tucson. While I'm not a fan of how it looks and a few of the interior material choices, it packs a lot of gadgets. It's available with a wide range of engines, including a plug-in hybrid, and Hyundai have stepped up their interior fit and finish. For three-row SUVs, I would have to pick Hyundai's cousin, the Kia Sorento. Just like the Tucson, it's got the latest technology, multiple powertrains, spacious interior, and this one doesn't look too bad in my eyes. Moving up, in pricing that is, to luxury compact crossovers, admittedly, I've mainly driven Mercedes-Benz crossovers this year. There was the GLA 250, the GLA 45 AMG, the GLB 35 AMG, and the Mini Countryman, which is not a Mercedes. But of those luxury compact crossovers, it's the GLB 35 AMG that stood out the most. Enough space, yet incredibly fun to drive. For larger luxury SUVs, there are a few more choices. The Mercedes GLE and GLS, BMW X3, X4, and X5, Volvo XC60 and XC90, Genesis GV70 and GV80, Lincoln Aviator and Navigator, Cadillac Escalade, and did I forget one? Oh yes, the Acura MDX. The best two-row luxury SUV is a bit of a surprise to me. I didn't think that it would be this good straight out of the gates, but I was wrong. I am talking about the all-new Genesis GV70. It does everything a modern SUV is supposed to do, and it does it very well. Fast, quiet, spacious, and good value for the money. If you need an extra row, the best luxury three-row SUV of 2021 in my opinion is the Mercedes-Benz GLS. Yes, the one that I drove had a beast of an engine under the hood, but if you drive it like a civilized person, then it's a quiet, comfortable, spacious, and very elegant luxury three-row SUV. Now, before we move on to the best trucks of 2021, let's take a quick look at the EVs that I've driven in this year. With all the talk of internal combustion engines going away, strangely, I've only driven 3 full electric vehicles this year. The Mini Cooper S Electric, the Ford Mach-E, which I still refuse to call a Mustang, and the Mazda MX-30. I don't think it's any surprise as to which one was the best that I've driven this year. The Mini and the Mazda were adapted to be electric vehicles. The Mach-E was developed as an EV from the ground up, so it is the best EV that I have driven in 2021. Now on to the workhorses in our lives, pickup trucks. And starting things off with an honorable mention to the Hyundai Santa Cruz. It's not a traditional truck with a body-on-frame design, but more so an SUV with a truck bed. However, you'll want to look at it as it's the best of both worlds, and it'll be interesting to see how it compares against the Ford Maverick. Now, moving on to mid-sized trucks. I've driven the Ford Ranger, Jeep Gladiator, and Toyota Tacoma. Although I really enjoyed my time with the Gladiator Mojave, it's not the best all-rounder. That honor goes to the Ford Ranger. It's got plenty of space in the bed, it has a powerful and yet efficient EcoBoost engine, more than enough capability for towing, and relatively inexpensive. Move up a class to the half-tons, and I've only driven 2 of them this year. The all-new Ford F-150 Power Boost Hybrid and the insanely crazy but smile-inducing Ram TRX. Looking at these two for their overall package and not the crazy 700 plus horsepower monster under the hood of the TRX, the Ram 1500 is still the king. The interior fit and finish as well as the space is still better than the F-150. But Ram needs to put a proper hybrid powertrain and get on with developing their full electric variant to continue competing against the Ford in 2022. Now, before we get to my pick of the overall best vehicle I've driven in 2021, I thought we should have a look, or rather a listen, to the best sounding exhausts of 2021. Pretty soon, all that we'll hear from cars is this. So we need to appreciate the wonderful and intoxicating noises that some of them continue to produce today. Kicking things off with an honorable mention of the Hyundai Veloster N. It has a common 2-liter turbo engine, but coupled with the active exhaust that it comes with, it sounds very fruity. But the best 2-liter turbo engine I've heard all year was in the Mercedes-Benz GLA 45 AMG. It is also available in other 45 series of Mercedes-Benz vehicles, and it will soon replace the V8 in the C63 AMG, unfortunately. But at least it can develop over 400 horsepower, and it sounds like this. Add on a couple more cylinders and you end up with a smooth revving inline-6 engine. There aren't that many around, but one of the best sounding is the 3-liter inline-6 that's under the hood of the BMW X4M competition. But for the best sounds of 2021, it's really hard to beat a V8 engine. While the BMW X5M competition has a nice sounding V8, it's not quite as good as the AMG V8. That one sounds really good. However, you can't talk about V8s without talking about the Americans. They know a thing or two about making a good sounding V8 engine. And that's why the 6.2-liter supercharged V8 in the Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Red-Eye and Ram TRX is my choice for the best sounding engine I've heard in 2021. And finally, we arrived to the overall best vehicle I've driven in 2021. Can you tell what it is? How about now? Yes, it is the 2022 Genesis GV70. Overall, this is the best vehicle that I test drove in 2021. I was really impressed by its driving dynamics because it is a comfortable and relaxing daily commuter, but at the push of a button, it can drive like as though you have a Hornet up your bottom. The interior materials are top-notch, really good quality. It's also quiet in there and very, very comfortable. Plus, for the price point of this GV70, you're getting a lot of value for your money. Of course, the German rivals also have the same features as this GV70, but you're going to be paying a little bit more for those German cars. And on top of all that, I think it's a pretty good looking SUV. I would argue that this is probably the best looking Genesis vehicle that they currently make. So if you are on the market for a compact luxury SUV, I highly recommend the 2022 Genesis GV70. If you want to know more about this GV70, I did a video review of it. Also, I wrote a more detailed review of it over on my website. You can find those links in the video description or click on the pop-up banner up here. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck or most likely another SUV. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Have a happy new year and see you in the next video.